wondering about you. Do you like teenage girls?
When you say teenage, how are we talking?
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. Timestamps are down in the description box below if you want to get directly into the AEW Dynamite review. Otherwise, fuck with me for a moment. So I guess this whole tribalism thing is starting to get heated up again, right? We're starting to go right back into the 2019, 2020, 2021 timeframe before AEW imploded in on itself because it couldn't keep its shit together. People are now going back and forth. I feel like my timeline has never been this volatile when it comes to dorks arguing as to whether or not NXT is better than AEW or AEW is better than NXT. See, I'm on the side that says that all of this shit, for the most part, kind of sucks and it's nowhere near close to where it used to be. And I get it. There are some people who just want to play team sports with the whole situation. And I'll blatantly admit my bias and tell you that I do like NXT more than I do AEW. But that doesn't excuse the fact that I'm seeing people argue on behalf of NXT like it's the next fucking Attitude Era or something, right? Like we're in some new golden age or something like that. No, it's nothing of the sort. It's wrestling in its current state right now, no matter what brand we're talking about, is absolute, unadulterated dog shit. This is coming from a person who watched wrestling since 1996 and who's been watching it consistently, no breaks at all, since the year 2000. I am telling you, as a guy who's been watching every single fucking week, or in some cases at the very least keeping within the loop consistently every week, 52 weeks for 25 years. I'm telling you, it's at its lowest fucking point it's ever been at. There's no way, and I know most of the old heads will look at what I'm saying and they would agree with me. There's no way you can look at the product today and look at the product, say, in the year 2000 and pretend this is the same product. There's no way you can look at the product today and look at the product back in 1997 and suggest it's the same thing. No, you just simply can't. Either for people who are a little bit more older, there's no way you can look at the product today and compare it to, like, say, 89 or 90. You just can't do it, not with a straight face. You know, like, we are living in an age where you have one wrestling company, that being WWE, where they just care about their bottom lines. And I understand that pragmatically. I'm trying to be a little bit more open-minded about this. I get the whole perception, I get the whole reasoning behind it, but their reasons as to why they're doing what they have to do in order to keep their business afloat has nothing to do with how I view my entertainment. And what I'm seeing from WWE, more in particular Raw and SmackDown, has been utter trash, to the degree where I will tell you that NXT is better than AEW, no doubt about it, at least for me. But I think AEW Dynamite is better than Raw and SmackDown. Straight up. I will tell you that straight up. I think Raw and SmackDown is absolute dog shit. It is not better than Dynamite right now, in my opinion. Now, you have the AEW side also, where they actually think that the same shit that you get every single week, the same fucking shit. It's really, there's only so many 5-star matches one company can have without any story or reasoning behind it. And for the story that they do have behind certain segments and certain characters and stuff, is so unbelievably inconsistent or just so fucking trash that you don't even want to keep up with it, right? Your justification behind the story is whether or not you can get to the actual conclusion, which is the match in itself, and seeing these guys go back and forth. That's the only justification you have. Let's get to the match to watch them wrestle and watch them do their 5 kicks of doom or whatever, or their 5 flips of doom or whatever, their 5 kickouts of doom or whatever, right? And when you see that so many times between so many matches, it just gets very boring. It's boring. And that's what I mean. So you have these two dipshit tribalist fanboys who are going back and forth, literally arguing which one's the piss out of the piss and the shit. Like, what are we doing right now, man? I know, I foremost bring this up because I'm hearing people argue online currently, right? And there are people who are suggesting, and I've talked about this years ago, it's so obvious as to why this happens to be the case, right? But people are arguing right now, oh, well, NXT has been beating AEW like for the whole year now, because I guess now we're around the time where NXT has been on CW for about a year, and people are like, oh, it's beaten at 48 weeks out of the 52 weeks, right? And people's argument against that is, well, that's because they're not on cable, they're on broadcast, AEW is on cable, but they failed to ignore the fact that AEWA is declining. It is actively declining compared to where it was last year, where it was already on the decline last year. It is declining. It is stagnant, and is and whatever it declined to, the mid 500,000s to early 600,000s, it is declined and it's stagnated in that same spot. That is its core audience, and its core audience looks like it's declining as well. And then you match that up with the fact that NXT, even on CW, is still getting the same number practically that it was getting when it was on USA. Like that's the thing that you're not really understanding, and you have to actually argue that point. You can suggest cable television and say this and say that. NXT, for the most part, is still getting the exact same viewership number, maybe slightly higher, but nothing that much detrimental. It is still getting the same viewership number that it was getting when it was on cable. Combined with the fact that NXT or AEW is still declining and is stagnating. But overall, it doesn't matter. You do realize that if you take both of these companies and combine their viewership number, it would still be considered one of the more all-time lows for Raw or SmackDown right now. We're talking about Raw and SmackDown at its worst time period, point blank. Like really, it's on par with 2018, 2019. We are at an all-time low with Raw and SmackDown in regards to entertainment value. And I will argue, actually, that's not an argument. That's just subjective. You take AEW's normal, 500 and something thousand views, right? And you take NXT's normal 600 something thousand views. That's 1.1 million. 1.1 million. That is an all-time low for Raw or SmackDown today. And that's not even feasible as far as where they were at about 25 years ago. Stop worrying about which company sucks worse than the other company, and let's focus more on how do we get these companies to actually do something well, do something good. The fact that AEW and its flagship show can't compete with a fucking developmental show, that should be that should be something as far as a cause of concern, but they don't want to look at it that way, right? They just want to legitimately have an own over WWE. And I'm telling you, man, the logic behind that, man, the more and more you keep focusing on trying to get an own over WWE in some capacity, you're ignoring the fact that your show is not registering with people that you need in order to put yourself on par eventually with WWE. But hey, I've been preaching to the choir for like how many years now? I just feel like seeing this now upsurge of Tribalist fans starting to do this shit all over again, it's annoying. I can't lie. It's really annoying. But it is what it is. Let's get into Dynamite. Wow, that didn't take long now, did it? So, Andrade's back in AEW, huh? I guess we should probably kick it off by talking about the 6-man tag. You guys don't give a fuck about this 6-man tag match. I don't give a fuck about this 6-man tag match. Let's just go directly to the source. You know, let's talk about it, okay? It's probably the biggest story that's going to come out of AEW probably this entire month or so, right? The 6th-year anniversary of AEW, and the first thing that they do is rely once again on a WWE former talent in order to get over in some kind of way. You know, on one hand, I want to look at this and I want to say that I don't blame Tony Khan for doing something like this, right? Why wouldn't you go out of your way to have some type of, I don't know, spontaneity on your show and do something a little bit crazy, right? Do something that you've never done before. That's why. That's why I probably have a problem with this. I don't, look, I get it. I get it. You want to pop a number some way, right? Why can't they ever rely on their own talent? Why can't they ever rely on their own characters? Why can't they ever rely on their own stars in order to get over their show? And mind you, I get it. Andrade is now currently signed with AEW, but I feel like that's just such a cop-out every time I see them do shit like this. And like I said, in any other scenario, in any other circumstance, I will look at a WWE guy showing up on AEW and I will say to myself, especially if they're a bigger name, holy shit, this is awesome, this is cool, this is a moment. But they've ran that well dry so hard, bro. How can you actually sit here with a straight face and say that you actually give a shit? Right? I guarantee you, I'll give it 30 minutes and I'm already done, right? I'm already over the whole Andrade return. It's just so counterintuitive, especially with all the stuff that you've been doing so far. Well, I guess maybe it's not, considering you haven't been doing a lot so far. But he did return. Kenny Omega was standing right there in the ring, cutting some boring ass self promo. You know, pretty much his head straight up every AEW's fan's ass, whatever, right? And the lights cut off because, of course, it's AEW. That's their gimmick, right? It cuts back on, and there's a guy holding the mask. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Seeing the hair and seeing the suit, for a second there, I thought it was Jericho, but he took off the mask, and it was Andrade. Right there in the flesh. This guy he hauled his ass out of WWE so goddamn fast. That time duration between him leaving WWE and coming back to AEW, that shit was faster than his relationship with Charles. I mean, Charlotte. No, Charles. I was right. No, Charlotte. Sorry, Devontae, focus. Okay, so now what? Now what? You have him here. He beats the fuck out of Kenny Omega. For people who are going to sit there and be like, well, Devontae, give it time. Okay, this time it is definitely different. Andrade's the guy. He's going to lead the way. He did the same thing with Cody that he did here with Kenny. Same thing. Same thing. And here's my question. What prominent skills has Andrade developed over the time since he's been away from AEW that's going to make this situation any more different? Now, you can argue Devontae, he doesn't have to focus too much on his promo skills because his English, it's fucking terrible. I mean, it's so bad. We probably should be calling ice on speed. We should be having ice on speed. Someone right now, I need you to go call ice and I need you to go get them. No, Devontae, focus. I get it. His promo skills are not that well adjusted right now, right? He fucking sucks at the English language, even though he's here. Legally, okay, whatever. I'm not here to question that. But he has Don Callis, who can speak for him, who can get him over. See, I get it, right? The comparison as far as Don Callis and his whole family regime being to Bobby the Brain Heenan back in the 1980s, obviously, right? That's clearly where he's gaining his inspiration from. That's clearly what AEW is doing right now. A bunch of loosely associated losers together under one umbrella known as the Don Callis family. But look at the people who are currently within the Don Callis family and you tell me, where does Andrade fit in all of this as far as what's going to happen in regards to progressing towards the future? We have currently right now Kyle Fletcher, who theoretically I would presume is the leader of the entire stable as far as from a wrestling perspective, right? He's the number one guy in the entire stable. You still have Konosuke Takeshita right there, right? Now there are rumors that he's going to turn face and inevitably leave the Don Callis family to maybe feud with an Okada or maybe feud with a Kyle Fletcher. You never know, right? Speaking of Okada, I'm still not sure whether or not he's actually affiliated with the Don Callis family, but that's three people already who have something to bring to the table that I feel is more effective than an Andrade at the moment. You have someone like a Konosuke Takeshita, where you can say with all the high flyers and all the ding dongs and all the false kickouts and all that other bullshit, he stands out, A, as a bigger guy, B, as an effective hitter, and C, as a guy that doesn't flip. He actually has a differentiation. He has a very Stan Hansen quality about him as far as his approach, and that very much stands out in the grand scheme of things. And not to mention, he's their only homegrown Japanese guy, and you know how obsessed they are with that kind of shit, right? Kyle Fletcher is legitimately their future. And more in particular, the guy can talk. You can have your opinions about Kyle Fletcher, but the guy can go on the stick. He has the physique. He has the look. He has the star quality. Now, whether or not they want to exploit that, neither here nor there. I'm here just to point it out for you, right? Okada, he has the legacy. He has the legacy. He is a legend, right? All of the things that I just named right now, Andrade does not have. He flips no different than everybody else. His style does not stand out any more than fucking Bandito or any of those other Mexican guys, right? So knock off Kenosuke to catch that as far as the comparisons, right? He doesn't have the star quality comparison to a Kyle Fletcher. One, he's like 10 years older than Kyle Fletcher. Two, last time I talked, me no speak English, mommy. But Kyle Fletcher speaks perfect English. So he has that going for him. And like I said, there's a certain type of look that Andrade has compared to Kyle Fletcher that does not scream, I am the main character, right? So we knock that off the list. And we don't have to compare him and Okada because, again, he's not a fucking legend. So how does he stand out in the midst of the Don Callis family? I ask you guys in the comment section. Now, like I said, and I think I talked about this at the time when discussing Andrade when he first got released from WWE just like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I said that it's a cool thing for Tony Khan to be so cool to want to bring him back. Bygones be bygones. Remember, he was having backstage altercations while he was still signed with AEW, right? I think he got into a fight with Sammy Guevara, or there was some type of confrontation between those two. He was constantly bullshitting all over, all the pretty much the same thing he was doing in WWE. Allegedly, he did to AEW. More in particular, all the shit talking that he was doing about AEW, which is fine. My side of the wall. Come over here, okay? I know you're Mexican and all, but jump over this wall and you can talk as much shit as you want to about AEW. But if you're going to be a wrestler, if you're going to cross back over that bridge, then be mindful of your words. But apparently that doesn't matter because Tony Khan brought him back into the fix regardless. So credit where credit is due. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. I can understand wanting to do business like this with the likes of a CM Punk, for an example, right? There's some return on the investment. What is the point of actually doing this with an Andrade? As I just mapped out for you guys, I don't see what him being back in AEW does for the company outside of popping the numbers specifically for this night, which has always been the case with the former AEW mid-card talent. Their only self-worth is what they do as far as that night is considered in regards to popping the number for that night. But what they do in the future, let's just say I'm less than enthusiastic, right? But hey, who am I, right? All in all we have on our side is time, and that's all we can do is just use that time wisely and wait patiently and see what he's gonna do in AEW. I'm very matter of fact about it. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. I don't see any difference. I don't see the star quality. I don't see what he brings to the table. He's no different than what he was previously. And by previously, I mean, the last time I seen him, which was like a month ago on WWE television. But kudos for him. Get the bag. Just as outside looking in proponent, I couldn't give 2 fucks about you. And I'm not joking about that ice speed dial call. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't know what elementary school bullshit kind of booking this is, but I'm so confused. I don't understand what the fuck this is. I don't even know. I can't follow the logic. I guess most people will probably be like, Devontae, this is why you have to keep up with Collision. And to that, I will say, your mom, little bro. Your mom. What in the cockamamie fuck did I just watch right now? What the fuck was any of this? So, first off, apparently they're trying to lie to us and they're trying to explain to us that the biggest question is, who is that underneath the hologram mask? Is that hologram positive or is that hologram negative? Oh, my name is Excalibur. I'm gonna give you some fucking overly complicated explanation as to what's going on if you don't follow the show. No, dude, I follow the show and I still don't know what the fuck is going on. Well, I don't follow Collision, but that's because, I have a penis and a life and I have to use both of those things in order to get through life. But I'm... Why execute it in this manner? What the fuck was the point of any of this? Right? So let me get this straight. We have this match with Kyle Fletcher and what's old boy's name? Orange Cassidy, right? It is what it is. It's the stereotypical goofy shit we tend to get from Orange Cassidy, because instead of making him a Scotty 2 Hotty or a Funaki or an R-Truth type of character, They really want us to take Orange Cassidy seriously. I don't know if you noticed this over the past few years. They really want us to take Orange Cassidy fucking serious. And they're gonna keep, they're gonna ram him. It's like prison, and you're the booty warrior. You're just spreading your cheeks. You're gonna take it. I'm a warrior. You will never get me to like Orange Cassidy in this capacity. Bars, I know. You will never get me to follow him. I just can't. Not when you want me to actually take this joke seriously. Not in this regard. No, I just won't. And I wish they would fucking stop. I mean, God, they pound him down your fucking throat worse than Randy Orton in 2004. Oh my God. But nevertheless, though, he ended up losing the match, right? But how did he lose the match? Because hologram Zero Miedo, let go of my ego, the Negro over there. I don't get it. Apparently, we thought it was supposed to be the good hologram who pushed Orange Cassidy off the turnbuckle, which looked like a turn, which I kind of figured it was a turn anyways. Well, bear with me when I say this. Okay, it's not a turn. But the announcers, and they all have this problem. WWE has this problem sometimes too, in particular Michael Cole, where their voice inflection, it makes it known that something is going to happen. So any other time someone will come out and it's just a standard babyface run in, you know, they're going to help out, blah, 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 blah. And the announcers' voices are just, you know, just like, you know, they're excited. But then you'll have these moments where like hologram is coming out, for an example, and their voices, the tone of their voice sounds completely different, right? And it's like, you're kind of exposing it just based off of your expression. I wish they would like notice that and tone it down a little bit more. But nevertheless, though, the positive hologram supposedly pushed Orange Cassidy off the turnbuckle, which cost him the match. What's his name? Capitalized on it. Kyle Fletcher. He picked up Orange Cassidy and he hit a brainbuster on the turnbuckle, which I always thought was like a normal move for guys like Sami Zayn, but whatever, man. And he ends up getting the win that way, right? And then, like, they go up the ramp and he reveals himself to be the bad hologram. And then we start getting these weird glitches that are happening throughout the segment, which I guess is supposed to be the negative hologram's trademark. It's just so stupid and it's so fucking goofy and dumb. And it's just not going to get over. I highly, highly doubt. Unless you're just saying it just for the sake of saying it, because again, bad WWE, good AEW. I know, I get it, tribalistic behavior. But if you're being honest with yourself, you know this is dog shit. Like, I'll even say this. I will give a benefit of the doubt. I was actually willing to give this the benefit of the doubt, right? My whole thing would have been, had they actually done this right, it still would have been dumb because I don't give a fuck about any of these characters. But maybe the common sense approach would have probably been just to give this story some legs. That hologram, the good guy, is nowhere to be found after his attack. So the bad guy comes and he pushes him off, you know, and he's starting to disrupt a bunch of wrestlers' matches and stuff. But he's still under the ruse that, you know, he's the good hologram. But in reality, he's been the bad hologram the entire time. Kind of like Sting, you know, when they had the fake Sting, you know, what's that guy's name? The farmer guy? Whatever the fuck his name is. Remember how they had the bad Sting doing all the bad things while the good Sting was gone after the match at was it War Games? I think they had it at War Games when Sting kind of walked away from the match after Lex Luger, you know, proving to Lex Luger that he in fact wasn't the guy who was going to join the NWO. That whole little shtick they could have done with hologram, where you're framing the babyface hologram doing things that he didn't really do with the heel, and then you keep this up for months, and then hologram comes back and then he actually exposes the guy, right? Or better yet, hologram comes back and all the baby faces want a piece of him and he's super confused as to what the fuck is going on. This could have been somewhat of a unique story that I at least would have said to myself has some legs on it. But then you ruin it just by doing this, and it's just, it's dumb. And then all the glitchy bullshit, this is already dumb. This is what I mean though when I say, you know, you have stories, it's just, they're terrible and horrible in their execution. But we're gonna get hologram versus hologram. Jazz hands. Fuck you. I'm starting to give up, folks. I'm starting to give up. I can't follow any of this shit, bro. What the fuck is going on? Am I like what? I've never seen a scenario like this before. I promise you, I've never seen a scenario like this before. So let me rewind back, okay? So we have this 6-man tag match. What a cheap, lazy ass way to introduce a feud. And once again, you just, maybe it's just me, bro. Maybe it's just me. You just make Samoa Joe look like such a whiny little bitch. That's what you make him feel like. Why make his character seem so whiny, so bitchy, so moany, so woman-like, bro? Let me get this straight, because apparently this is the first time I've ever seen a scenario like this. We had a tag team match, right? The 6-man tag match where you have the Dick Riders on one side, right? You have the Ops over here, right? You down with OPP? Well, you know me, right? I'm talking about those Ops. I ain't talking about these Ops, okay? You got these Ops, and then apparently we have Samoa Joe, who happens to be the other person's penis or pussy or privates, whatever you want to say, right? And you have Hangman Page over there also. They do their match, they do whatever they're, the flips and the kicks and the false finishes and all that shit, right? And that gets done with. And then afterwards, I need to understand, when has this ever happened ever to start a fucking feud? You have Hangman Page, who thinks everybody's on they all think that they're on the same size, but they're all good. It's all great. Go Pops, go Pop. Sorry, lost in the sauce there. You had this motherfucker hand him the belt, right? Right, Hangman is handing Samoa Joe his tag team championship belts that I completely forgot even existed. He hands him the championship belt. Samoa Joe drops it on the floor, right? They start to go back and forth, and I'm trying to hear. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Am I missing something here? Apparently, Samoa Joe, this is how this feud is starting, okay? This is most likely going to be the main event at Wrestle Dream for the World Championship. This feud starts because Samoa Joe didn't like the fact that Heyman tagged himself in, or some shit like that. Honestly, I couldn't follow. I swear to God. I know, Devontae, you're supposed to be paying attention. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what this channel is all about. If you're going to review it, be professional, damn it. I promise you, I was looking directly at the show and I was watching it and I still missed it. I'm scared. I'm very scared. Only AEW can make me realize that I'm going through a manic episode, because how the fuck did I miss any of this shit, even though I'm physically watching it? And I'm scared, and I might need therapy. Well, I mean, to be quite frank, you guys probably think I need therapy well before this review, but I actually, for the first time, think I need therapy now. I don't understand why they hate each other. I don't know why Samoa Joe is acting like such a little bitch. Okay, people tag themselves in all the time. But I get it, right? I get it. He did all that because he wanted Hangman to know that he never beat him and that he wants his rematch for the World Championship. No, that was Hangman actually throwing out the challenge because Samoa Joe said that. So, that time when Samoa Joe went out there with the rest of the OPP members and they helped Hangman win the championship belt, I guess Samoa Joe did that because I don't fucking know. Because you know what I do? You know what you do when you actually hate somebody in the back of your mind? You help them out, right? The greater good, right? You help them out. All Joe had to do, all they had to do to save Joe's reputation is just have him come out, cut a straightforward promo, one-on-one, right? Instead, you have him go out there, act like a little bitch, and hide his actual true feelings, and it took Hangman to actually challenge him, and not Samoa Joe to challenge, Hangman. But maybe I'm putting a little bit too much logic into all this. Maybe I'm, being a little bit noodle-brained here. Well, actually, hang on for a second, because Samoa Joe's back. Let's see what he has to say. Yeah, that explanation didn't make shit any much better, okay? Seriously, that explanation actually made him look like more of a bitch. Because again, it took Hangman to actually challenge you. Samoa Joe didn't give any explanation outside of what he legitimately already said in the ring. I've been distracted and I've been too preoccupied. And in reality, I've been wanting to get my shot at the world championship. So what I did instead was kind of tuck my tail between my leg, and I didn't say a goddamn thing. I just sieved. I sieved, and I couldn't help but sieve anymore. And it took you to actually challenge me rather than me being a goddamn man standing up for myself and actually asking you for a championship, man. Again, I'm saying one more time, man, this character development. So is he a heel now? Or is he not a heel? I guess, like, are we doing this whole thing again where it's like, it doesn't matter, Devante, the era that we live in currently right now, it's amazing that we don't have to do the things, the things of the healing on the face. Shut up. No, these dynamics do matter. They do matter. When you blur the lines so much, you don't give a clear, decisive who's he and what's he, then, like, that's how you get people to turn on people, and on top of the stories and the lack thereof, as far as the character development as well. But it would have been nice. But again, another terrible build so far, what I can tell. Main event match for a pay-per-view that doesn't really feel like it's a main event match for a feud, and it kind of feels like anybody could have just came out and did what Samoa Joe did, and they probably would have got a main event pay-per-view match. But sure, who am I but the guy who has to sit here and recognize all the lies, right? I paused myself there. What a terrible fucking start to a feud. But we get to get Joe versus Hangman. Let's go. And also, I probably should talk about the Toni Storm stuff also, but like, she didn't say anything. She actually had a match against Peyton Royce. Wait, no, that wasn't Peyton Royce. No, it was Tay Mello. How did I get those two mixed up? I don't fucking know. And then like, she won the match because it's Tay fucking Mello. And then like, she got on the microphone and she challenged Chris Statlander to a match to see who's gonna be the woman with the biggest ass. I don't know. Maybe it's Tony. I don't know. We have to watch the match, see who's going to have the bigger ass. And sure, I guess, whatever. But it's like 9:54 right now. And I swear we had that mixed tag team match apparently that's coming up next. But instead, we have this jobber tag match. And again, it's 6 minutes from the end of the show, theoretically. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, bro? What the fuck are we doing here? Why is this needed? Why is this fucking needed? Okay. All right. Okay. My life in the sunshine. So what was the purpose? I'm asking again. I'm trying to be legitimate about this. We have Toni Storm coming out to the ring right now. Okay, you have Chris Statlander holding up the championship belt. You have Wheeler in the middle of the ring, and he's dead, apparently. Tony is staring daggers into Chris Statlander. I'm trying to understand the purpose of any of this. I'm going to react to this, like, live. We have probably, like, maybe less than a minute before the show. I can react to this live. That's perfectly fine. They're staring at each other's eyes lovingly, right? I wish my penis wasn't between their faces, but apparently it's not. And now they're just randomly fighting. Okay, good. Okay. And the security guards are breaking it up. There's just no way that the show goes off the air because of this. Okay, and now you have Darby Allin. He's beating the dog shit out of Wheeler Yuta with a belt. This has to be going somewhere, man. This is the first time I'm doing this, and that's only because, like, bro, it's the end of the show. I'm gonna try to do something a little bit different. Darby Allin is whipping the shit out of him. Pac is in the ring. He's now stumping out Darby Allin. He's stumping on his head. He's beating the dog shit out of Darby Allin. Is this going to go somewhere? It can't just end like this. There are thumbtacks in the middle of the ring. We'll talk about that in a minute. There are chairs scattered all over the place on the opposite side of the ring. Now we have Pac. It looks like he's tying something around Darby's neck. We have Jon Moxley with a microphone. Let me hear what he's going to say real quick. Okay, so simply nothing. This was just Jon Moxley talking shit to Darby Allin. Now we have Pac. He's standing Darby back up to his feet, and he hits him with a clothesline. And I'm assuming that's how the show goes off the air. Literally, Jon Moxley didn't say a fucking thing. He just talked shit to Darby Allin and said he doesn't know how he's going to make him say I quit, but he at Wrestle Dream is going to make him say I quit. And all the Dick Riders are right there. Oh, that's right. Daniel Garcia is with them too. I forgot about that already. He just literally turned not too long ago. So yeah, this felt like this was so mid. This was so mid. This show overall was bad. This was a terrible show. This was a very, very, very bad show. Probably not one of my better examples, because I remember earlier on in the intro, I think I said this show is better than WWE Raw and SmackDown. I still do think that overall right now, but this show is not a good example. This episode was bad. This was dog shit. But let's talk about this match in itself, right? Because prior to the stuff that I was discussing right when the show was going off the air, because apparently it needed a 30-minute overrun. I know it's a 6-year anniversary, but damn it, do something a little bit more angle-worthy. Do something that we can leave this show talking about. You know what their grandiose plan was for tonight? Their grandiose plan in order to get you guys talking coming out of this show was apparently thumbtacks on the floor and Chris Statlander giving Marina Shafir an atomic drop on thumbtacks. The problem with this is that I'm pretty sure you guys know what a atomic drop is, right? Or reverse Manhattan drop, however you like to refer to it. It's when you take your opponent, you pick them up like you're going for a backdrop, but you push them forward and they land ass first on your knee. You've seen it plenty of times. It's a very old school move. Marina Shafir was barefoot. Like Matt Riddle, barefoot. Although she had her feet taped, I think. Because this fucking mud show company. Chris Statlander gave an atomic drop to Marina Shafir on the thumbtacks barefoot, so she stepped in the thumbtacks. Why? Why was this spot necessary? I guess shock value. This match had no business needing thumbtacks. Had no business needing to be anything in regards to a triple threat or tornado tag, hardcore match, whatever. Just, this was just all stupid. And then this was their climax, again, to go off the air. This was their climax. This was their reasoning. This entire match structure was their reason as to why they so desperately needed a 30-minute overrun. No cool angles to come out of this. No. What comes out of this is stupid fucking shock factor spots to end the show. Now you guys see where I'm coming from. Now you see why I get angry and I start complaining about wrestling. This actually fits into the construct of what I was saying earlier in the intro when I was talking about AEW and I spoke about the negatives in regards to AEW. They don't care about anything in regards to legitimate storytelling. There is no presentation that is necessitated for AEW to get over. What they care about are the spots that are done in the ring. That's all that matters to them. And god damn it, man, that I guess their excuse for it will always be, well, there's an audience for it. And if there's an audience for it, well, guess what? We're going to supplement that audience. We're going to give them what that audience wants. And you know what we end up getting when it's all said and done? We get circus acts. We get dumb fuckery. We get stupidity in place of what could actually be pleasant stories. I'm asking again, where was the angle to get us to go off the air? Where was anything in regards to resembling something of a cliffhanger to get you to want to tune into the show next week? Where are any of these things? Why is this match in particular taking precedent over your world championship? Why? These are questions that I have to ask that are constantly being ignored or deflected because, again, the people who are constantly covering for AEW and its stupid fucking nonsensical dependence on these spots and on these dumbass matches, they like to go out of their way to make up excuses as to why this is the proponent that needs to be focused on because it clearly differentiates itself from the WWE product. But what you don't understand and what you don't get, even though me, the guy in the IWC, happens to see this stuff in and I react in the way that I react. You fail to understand, and I said it once, I say it again, I will take it to my grave. There are other people out there who sees your company and they say to themselves, oh wow, that's really cool. Let's just hypothetically say there are some people out there who are going to react to the thumbtack spot. You know what they're going to say? That's really cool. Some may say that's really retarded, but let's just play devil's advocate, right? That's a really cool spot. That girl just took a fucking barefoot atomic drop spot and some thumbtacks. Why did she do that? I don't know, but that's pretty cool, right? Where do you go outside of the cool factor? Where do you go beyond past that point? Where? That's the part that I need to have a discussion about with the people who constantly try to put this as a facade and try to paint it out for you as far as saying this right here, this facade that you're currently seeing, this right here is what makes wrestling, right? Well, I'm asking again. Once you do that spot, it's over with. It's done. It's kaput. It's done. The show's gone. How many people tomorrow are going to be saying to themselves, I can't wait for NXT or AEW next week? How many people? How many people are going to do that? I'll tell you how many. Zero, because they weren't fans to begin with. They just seen two dogs fucking on the side of the road, just to steal a metaphor from Jim Cornette, and it happened, and it's over with. You know what happens? They go to their friends, they talk about the dog fucking on the side of the road, they have an interesting conversation, but that's just nothing more than to break the ice, and they continue on furthering the conversation about something else because they just needed something interesting to talk to a person, have an excuse to talk to the person about what they just saw. But you know what could get you to want to tune back in next week? You know what could keep a conversation going outside of talking about two dogs fucking on the side of the road? What you can talk about is actual things that can keep a conversation going from one spot to another spot to another spot to another spot to another spot, branching into many directions because you actually have something legitimately interesting based off of your charisma. What you can do for AEW is give us tangible fucking angles and stories to get us to want to tune in, or better yet, that person who's tuning in and they're seeing the girl and the guy who are having problems with each other, there's a legitimate story tied to that, and it's going to get them to tune back in next week to see the conclusion or the progression of that story. No different than any other television show. But you ignored that. And you tried to put across this bullshit facade that you call wrestling, but in reality, it's nothing more than circus freaks who are pretending to be wrestlers. And then you get all mad, you get all crazy, your fan base starts to get all delusional about the numbers and the ratings and stuff like that. How? Why? Make it make sense. None of it makes sense. You can't make it make sense. But hey, I'm just one person. I'm just one man. The show sucked absolute baby dick. They should be ashamed of themselves. Andrade, I don't give a fuck about. Everything else in the middle, I can't even remember, and I'm already fucking reviewing the show. And obviously in the end of it, cool spot, guys. Girl takes thumbtack spot with her feet. And by tomorrow, I'll be talking about the news and dreading my return to watching AEW the following week. Congratulations, you did absolutely fucking nothing, you absolute retards. But with that being said, thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be catching you fine folks later. A deuces and a pea ice. 6 years, and they haven't learned a fucking thing.